you're a first-time home seller, right? And you get told by a listing agent that you need to sign out a seller's disclosure. And, you look at this piece of paper and you're kind of scratching your head saying, I don't know what to put here. So what kind of advice would you give for a first-time seller when it comes to being able to fill out the seller's disclosure properly?
What I can tell you first and foremost is the disclosure is there so that you can give an accurate picture of what house you're trying to sell to a prospective buyer. So the most important thing is just be honest about what you put on there. Don't speculate. Don't write stuff that you're not sure of. Just write the facts that you know to be true about that house. If you're not sure about something, it's okay. You can write you're not sure, but just put the facts that are known to be true. And when the buyers come through with their inspector, if you've been honest with them as much as you can, there's not going to be a whole bunch of discrepancies between what their inspector says and what you have on your disclosure, which is going to make people feel more comfortable about things. So it doesn't matter if things are broken. It just matters that your disclosure is accurate. Now, usually the seller's not home at the inspection. That's typically the preferred process. And what I can give you for advice for a real estate agent now on inspection day, if you're representing the seller, you want to say pretty much as little as possible. You don't want to be trying to explain things that the home inspector says, because you can really quickly paint yourself into a corner by assuming facts and trying to downplay things that the inspector says. The best thing you can do is unlock the house, let the buyer and the inspector go through the house and say whatever they say, and then deal with the findings afterwards.
What are the repercussions of, say you fix something on the seller's disclosure and then it gets inspected and it ends up being faulty or not working? What kind of repercussions come from that?
There's a couple simple things that happen. Sometimes it's not a huge deal, but the main thing is if the seller says, hey, we fixed XYZ at the house, and then the home inspector comes in and says, hey, the same XYZ that they say they fixed is done incorrectly or broken, they're really just going to try to negotiate that possibly. So they may come back to the seller and say, so we still need to fix that again. We want some money towards it, or we'd like you to have it fixed by a professional, and can we please see the receipt from the licensed contractor that did the work? So it's not a huge deal, if they say they fixed something and they didn't. The thing that makes people uneasy is things that are just plain wrong. Hey, this roof is 5 years old, and I go up there and the shingles are falling off of it. That's not going to make people feel happy.
So what would you say are the most common things that somebody would lie about on a seller's disclosure? Not trying to throw anybody under the bus in particular, but just some common things that people can be aware of when they're filling out the seller's disclosure.
Some of the things are the things that they're worried that that's going to make a deal fall through. So some folks will, a lot of times they might lie about mold, although they are changing the rules on mold disclosure. Very recently, I believe, the word mold just freaks people out. Another thing that people would tend to exaggerate or downplay is just, in general, the age of things. Like you go into a house and you'll say, hey, the roof is X number of years old. And when we look at it, keeping in mind that we don't have a receipt, we're just guesstimating based on wear and tear and having seen 800 houses a year for 15 years, how old the roof is. And those things, sometimes they're just too far off. And that makes people feel uncomfortable. And folks just don't like to feel like they're being lied to. Not that incorrect items on the disclosure are necessarily lies or attempts to hide things, but people don't like to feel that way. And there's a lot of apprehension when you're making a big investment like that.